when I accepted the call to Mount Airy, I had to sort of begin with my perspective. Bridgeport sits in Fairfield County. Fairfield County, Connecticut is known as one of the richest counties in the country, but Bridgeport, Connecticut has been known and is known as the armpit of Connecticut. Black and brown majority city, urban area, considered, I guess, in seminary circles and other kind of academic circles as a second city in terms of its population, though it's the largest city in the state of Connecticut. So again, I share my story. The Lord sends me here, trained, tutelage, explored life in New York at Union Seminary and at St. Paul, and then come to Bridgeport, Connecticut. In 1994, also, the St. Paul Community Baptist Church, in addition to doing all the wonderful things they're known for, they began to wrestle with how do we tell our story, the history of African Americans from African American perspective. And they engaged many scholars and many persons, and they came up with a word, a Swahili word, which was coined by Dr. Ani from the CUNY system in New York, about how they might create what has been called the Ma'afa experience, which is a psychodrama theatrical presentation, primarily participated and led by members of the congregation of St. Paul. It grew to several hundred cast members. They traveled across the country. They toured. It's a very powerful presentation. Some of my own members were there, and they asked me a question. And that question, they were serious when they saw my engagement and they saw all the really Broadway quality from people in East New York. They asked me, Pastor, you left this in New York to come to us in Bridgeport, Connecticut? And I shared with them the same God that is in Brooklyn is the same God that's in Bridgeport. And you have just as much gift and talent in Bridgeport as they do in Brooklyn. That was 1997. In 2004, after 2 years of being coached by our sisters and brothers at St. Paul, we, Mount Airy, performed our first Ma'afa presentation with over 250 cast and crew from Mount Airy, utilizing their talents. And from a pastoral perspective, I had to have the expectation that we could use the arts to tell our story, not from other people's perspective, but from our perspective. It is telling our story of wrestling with our individual faith, questions that we raised about God. If God is so loving, then why is this happening to us? Because of the way God created us with melanin. And we executed it. As a pastor, I just didn't see actors. I saw disciples who, again, were taught that, what good could really come out of Bridgeport. And we were able to tell story upon story about all the marvelous stories of resistance, of rebellion, of triumph from all types of perspectives. So it's just a powerful, powerful presentation. I'll stop there.